This is brain tissue from a man who died from COVID-19. Scientists are now testing to find out more about the growing link between coronavirus and brain disease.
What we see is antibodies are mounted against this white matter.
Dr. Benedict Michael is leading a study tracking hundreds of patients who've suffered from neurological problems after contracting the virus.
What we really need to understand now that we have some sense of the scale of the problem is, to what extent is this because the virus is directly infecting the brain, or to what extent is it actually the virus is never in the brain, but it kicks off an immune response that then in turn activates the brain and causes this inflammation.
Disseminated encephalitis, or ADEM, which leaves COVID-19 patients suffering from symptoms including...
What's been really interesting with COVID-19 is that we've seen a whole spectrum of neurological disorders. So we've seen those diseases you typically think of as neurological, like brain swelling. And we've also seen an awful lot of strokes, many of which are occurring in patients without any risk factors for strokes. But even through that, we're seeing patients with presentations which we normally think of as psychiatric, like psychosis and catatonia.
73-year-old Linda Williams believes she suffered from frightening hallucinations while in hospital with COVID-19. Linda is home again, but more than 3 months later is still confused, weak and struggles with memory.
Terrible. I wish they didn't have it. I wouldn't let anyone get it if I could. It's a terrible thing to have.
And now so many people have been the virus on the brain.
We know from the surveillance study and from speaking to other people that there's a proportion of people who got really sick but didn't go to hospital, who recovered at home and are still not back to work. And some of that is fatigue, but some is more than that. It's confusion, it's changing their thinking, it's changing perhaps the type of thinking that's involved with planning, and sometimes it's more long-standing than that. It can go on for weeks and weeks and weeks. They call it the long tail of COVID.
And this is what the long tail looks like in a brain scan.
This large white area here and here, you can see it's affecting both sides, is where there's inflammation of the brain. Not just that, it's areas where the brain is dying.
And that's the problem. People who develop brain complications from COVID-19